welcome to the Webcast for Monday, September 15th. I'm South Ops meteorologist Jonathan O'Brien. The marine layer is a little shallower today, but still very much present, with low clouds pushing at least into most of the coastal valleys. But the clouds generally aren't quite as far inland as yesterday and should burn off pretty quickly today, a sign that our gradual warming trend will be continuing. And here are the forecast highs for today. We'll be getting back near to a few degrees above average in most spots, with mid to locally upper 90s returning for a lot of the valleys. The warming trend will likely peak tomorrow in most cases. We'll add another 2 to 4 degrees, with the warmest valleys likely hitting the 100-degree mark, and it'll remain similarly warm into Wednesday as well. We saw another night of mostly good recoveries last night. That's been the theme all the way back to last week. But we are on a gradual drying trend, and minimum humidity will drop to between 12 and 25% away from the coastal areas today and Tuesday. And tonight we'll likely see notably lesser recoveries in a lot of areas relative to the past several nights. Winds will remain mostly light and terrain-driven across the region. While the warmer weather early this week is one story, the bigger story is going to be what's coming in mid to late this week. That's when California is going to have its latest run-in with a tropical storm, something we've seen multiple times in the past few years. This time it's Tropical Storm Mario, which is currently far to our south, but will track in our general direction over the next few days. It's important to note that Mario will weaken and dissipate long before the center of the storm ever has a chance to reach California, so we're not expecting anything like a repeat of what happened with Hurricane Hilary a couple years ago in terms of high winds or extreme rainfall totals. However, while Mario will dissipate, there will still be a lot of remnant tropical moisture associated with it. Think of it as a supercharged monsoonal surge making its way towards the region later this week. As this tropical moisture moves in, scattered to widespread showers and thunderstorms will move across the entire region from late Wednesday through at least Friday, with the focus of activity gradually spreading its way from south to north through that period. The air mass will also become very tropical as this occurs. California is going to be feeling a whole lot more like Florida by the time we get to late this week. If you're a native Californian, it'll probably be about the most humid tropical air mass you've ever experienced in this region. There is, however, a lot of uncertainty on how much rainfall will occur during this period, because while we know that the atmosphere will be holding a lot of moisture, it's more complicated to determine how much of it actually gets squeezed out as rain. It is very much possible that significant rainfall, over half an inch and in some cases much more, could occur just about everywhere in the region. That would be kind of more in line with the projection shown here. But it is also possible that amounts end up lighter overall, and/or that the higher totals are more hit or miss. But regardless of rainfall totals, there is again high confidence that an unusually tropical air mass will overspread the region, bringing significantly elevated humidity with minimum RH mostly above 30% by Thursday, and in most cases much higher than that. A significant cooling trend will also occur Thursday through the weekend, with highs falling into the upper 60s and 70s across the mountains and 80s to low 90s in the valleys. Though it is worth noting that overnight low temperatures will not decrease because of all the moisture. So while the rain totals are definitely still in question, it does not at all appear like a good setup for active burning conditions come late this week, which is of course important as it is likely that abundant lightning will be occurring during the late week period. More on that in a moment. By this weekend, the forecast is somewhat uncertain, as you'd expect with everything going on before then, but the most likely outcome is a general drying trend with seasonable weather returning, possibly with temperatures trending above normal by early next week. So in terms of fire potential and the fire environment this week, potential for new fire starts and spread will gradually increase through Tuesday as the warming and drying trend continues. However, last week's moisture and the lack of any wind or more extreme heat continue to really limit potential overall. These next couple days are pretty run-of-the-mill late summer type days. From there, abundant lightning will likely bring numerous new ignitions to much of the region Wednesday through Friday. There's still uncertainty on where the highest lightning concentrations will be, but right now it does look like the entire region has a pretty good chance for lightning. However, the accompanying rainfall, along with very high humidity in a tropical air mass, should significantly limit short-term growth potential on most or all new ignitions. As a result, no high-risk triggers have been issued on our 7-day significant fire potential product, and I would say it's pretty unlikely that any will be unless there's a fairly large change to the forecast. But there's definitely potential for a lot of new initial attack, and any remaining lightning ignitions or holdovers could become more problematic this weekend or early next week, especially if a stronger warming and drying trend materializes, which some models do suggest could happen. So any way you slice it, this is definitely looking like an active weather week, and the weather forecast should be monitored very closely this week. Feel free to reach out with any local questions or concerns. That's it for today's webcast. Thanks for joining us. Next one will be on Tuesday, September 16th.